Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing? Hope y'all are doing well. I'm unbelievable as always. Welcome to another Creator Office Hours here on my YouTube channel. William Jeske hopping in and checking in. It's good to see you. Thank you for being here in our live chat. Appreciate you. Good to see you too. Mr. Ozone Nightmare. Happy Friday. Happy CrowdStrike Cratering Day. Oh, that must be a new game that came out. For me, it's Happy NCAA Football Day. I got that game last night. Yeah. My son pretty much gave me a PS5 that he bought. He bought his girlfriend a PS5 a couple years back, and she don't use it because they got one in the house already. So he gave me his PS5, and I bought that college game yesterday because I haven't played that game since the last time it was out many years ago. But yeah, looking forward to that. It's good to see you all in here. Thank y'all for showing up for today's or this week's Creator Office Hours. Since you're here live on the YouTube channel, please do me a favor right now and hit the thumbs up button, or it's called the like button, whether it's on the phone app or on the web page. Go ahead and hit that like and thumbs up button on it right now, please. So YouTube will get positive feedback from me and positive feedback from you as people that are part of this community here. And also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe option too. I really do appreciate that. Today, oh, wait a minute. What is this? Outages? Hold on. What is this? Flight delays. 911. Oh boy. I wonder if there's more ransomware going on. Yeah, see, I haven't opened up any news stuff this morning, so I didn't know. Congrats to anyone not in IT, says Ozone Nightmare. Yikes. Ooh. Yeah, ransomware has been going pretty crazy here the last couple of weeks around the USA. It's got to do better, people. Man. CrowdStrike is saying it was a bad update. Oh boy. That's horrible. I do not miss that stuff at all. I don't miss that stuff at all. Oh man. Anyway, thank y'all for being here. I appreciate the support. This week on the show, I wanted to talk a little bit about dadgum cameras, and because people have asked me in the past, especially on the other podcast, the Everyday People podcast, people have asked, hey, what do you think about this camera? What do you think about that camera? So on and so forth. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'll talk about it, but I don't want to talk about it on the Everyday People podcast. We'll do that here in the Creator Office Hours. And this week was pretty big news. We had the folks at Canon announcing their flagship phone. And I'm going to put that in air quotes, flagship, not phone, camera, as well as another camera from them. And it's an update to a previous model because that's what they do. So this week they announced the Canon EOS R1 as well as the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. And I do have thoughts on these things, and I see the chatter is happening in the chat already. As soon as I start talking about cameras, that's hilarious. What are y'all talking about in there? Let's see. William says, ultimately, I'd like to use a Z8. I'm unsure whether the learning curve would be too steep with the transition. I'm a Nikon brand DSLR, and I'm looking to finally upgrade to mirrorless. Is there a mid-level Nikon model you'd recommend? Oh, these are all just great questions. Oh, yeah, good stuff. All right, so I'm gonna ask you here momentarily, Mr. Jesk. So, but yeah, don't go nowhere. First, let me tell you about the announcement from Canon because I am a Canon fanboy. I'm never going to hide that. I am a Canon fanboy. Nothing but love for Canon. And I'm always going to keep it real when it comes to stuff that I like from them or things that I dislike from them. And regarding the R1, this is their flagship model camera body. They typically put these out about every 4 or 5 years or so. And if you're familiar with their DSLR line, they had the 1D line. You know, then when they went to mirrorless, now they didn't have a 1D line. This is the first iteration in the mirrorless technology for Canon. Like right here, I have in my hands, this is a 1DX Mark II, I believe. Yeah, 1DX Mark II. Freaking love this camera. This was one of their pro grade cameras that they would put out, you know, every 4 years or so. And this is the Mark II. This isn't the Mark III. So it's still fairly old. It's probably about 8 years old, something like that. But you know, I shoot with this camera all the daggum time because it's freaking awesome. It only has 20 megapixels, totally fine. And it's a DSLR. So as you can see, it has a mirror on the inside of it. It's not mirrorless, bigger body, heavier, built like a freaking tank. And I absolutely love this old camera. But now they have a mirrorless side. So things are a little bit smaller, a little bit more compact, and you got better computing and processing and all that good stuff going on in here. And this particular model, it has 24 megapixels. Let me see if I can show you on my screen. There we go. This is 24 megapixel full frame sensor R1. You can get continuous shooting at 12 frames per second, which is pretty fast, but it can go faster than that. It can go up to 40 frames per second if you shoot in the quiet electronic shutter mode, which is insane. The current camera that I have, which I'm looking at right now, is a mirrorless, and it is an R5C. Pretty damn good camera, and it'll shoot like right at 30 frames per second when I go to the electronic shutter. And it's ridiculous how many images pop out of there and really fill up your cards really quickly. And then they have some extra stuff going on in here: sensor shift, image stabilization, a new processing technology in there. This right here, the in-camera upscaling, that's pretty freaking fascinating to me. All right, so for example, if you're shooting at 24 megapixels and for whatever reason you need that to be bigger and better because you want to put it on a super duper large print like a big billboard, they give you the option to upscale the image inside of the camera using some neural processing, also known as AI. And I think that's cool, but I don't know how necessary that is. But again, it depends on what you're shooting, because 24 megapixels is plenty of megapixels. Okay, 24 megapixels is plenty for most photographs that you're going to see out there around the web. I mean, hell, this thing here, this is only 20, and you would never know had I not said anything if you look at some of the images that I've captured with this device. But the whole upscaling thing and throwing AI in there, I just sort of laughed at that because I was like, damn, Canon, you had to throw AI in here somewhere because everybody else is doing it. But it's pretty neat that they're allowing you to do this inside of the camera, and it not anything you have to do on your computer. Now, you're not going to get the, I don't know if you're going to get a raw file out of it. I think it still turns it into a JPEG, but you know, to each his own. That may be okay for most people, who knows? But I thought that was interesting, as well as some of the other technology inside of it. As far as when you're looking through the viewfinder is better than the previous iterations on the R5C and the R5. And you get this eye tracking technology, which is found in this R3 camera right now. So if you're looking through it and you're wanting to set your focus point, you know, you literally can just look at whatever you want to focus on, and the camera is going to track your eye and focus on whatever it is you're looking at. Unlike what I tend to do is I have on the back of the camera, as I'm holding my cameras. Okay, so I'm holding my camera and I'm looking through the viewfinder. I'm putting my thumb on the back LCD like that on my R5C. If I put my thumb there, I can move my thumb on the back and pretty much place my focal point wherever I want it to go in real time. So if I'm watching someone run down the football field and I want to focus on the face or whatever, I just slide my thumb there and it knocks it out the park. It crushes it every time. Being able to do that with the eye is pretty cool. Now, I know this is not new because this is in the model from the Canon R3 last year. I've never played with an R3, and I bet it's pretty fun to play with that. So we'll see. So again, this is their flagship camera, and a lot of people in the I guess you can say influencer space are not very thrilled about this being called the flagship or what have you, because they're thinking this thing should have more megapixels. It should have more than 24 megapixels. It should have the likes of 40 megapixels like the camera that I'm using right now. And I understand that, but again, 24 is plenty. What they did though, again, is just they added some of that extra technical stuff to it and speeding up with the processing on it and helping with roll and shutter and things like that. All of that is stuff that's important to people shooting fast moving objects. Megapixels isn't important. The other stuff is. So I get that. Now, the other beef people have is this right here, the price. That camera, the camera is $6,300 essentially, US. It's not cheap. Now, if you go back 4 years ago to the Canon 1DX Mark III, the DSLR, the latest version of the camera that I have here, the latest version of that, it was $6,400 about 4 years ago. I remember that. Nice camera, but it had the old technology in it. I don't know if $6,300 is the right price for this particular camera, considering it. Some things are a little bit cheaper nowadays to make. So I thought it would have been around $5,500, $5,800, somewhere in that area. Nikon, the competitor to Canon, their flagship camera is under $6,000. And I thought Canon would have kept it right there in the same spot. Not to mention, you don't get the global shutter technology on here. It's still just using a backside illuminated CMOS sensor. Yes, it's faster. You're going to get better performance, but I still thought $6,000 might have been a little too rich for my opinion, But anyway, that's the R1. The other one is the R5 Mark II. I didn't pull it up. The R5 Mark II is pretty much adding everything tech-wise that this one is adding, So it's, again, people are not so happy about it. But it also depends on what you're trying to shoot, because, everything isn't always about megapixels. And I saw a super chat pop up in here. Hold on, let me grab that super chat. That comes from Ozone Nightmare. Woo! The in-camera upscaling sounds neat, but honestly, I'd never use it. That kind of work I'd want to do in a program where I would have more control. Good point, Ozone Nightmare. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Yeah, I don't know. When they announced it, I started thinking along the lines of the Olympics, okay? Because again, when Canon announces this particular type of body, it's usually done right around the time of the Olympics. If you go back in history, it's usually around the time of the Olympics. And nowadays, everything is so got to get a shot, got to get it published now, like instantly. As soon as they cross that finish line, I better have that shutter clicked, and I better have that image sent up to the booth upstairs, and the people in the booth upstairs better have it posted to freaking Facebook, X, or what have you, all within 2 minutes of that event finishing. And so being able to upscale on the camera is going to be beneficial for those folks then if they need to upscale. What makes me curious is I don't know how often people will need to upscale in that particular scenario. Don't know. More from the live chat here. Let's see. This one says, Aaron, the Lumix S9 seems quite impressive. You have any thoughts on that? Should I go for that? Okay, I'm going to come back to that one because I want to go address William Jeske first. So let me scroll back up. All right, he says he's a Nikon brand DSLR and he's looking to use the Z8. All right, Nikon, those cameras are freaking nice. They are nice. They've come a long way. They've come a long way. Nikon's biggest issue, along with somebody else, their biggest issue used to be the autofocus and speed when it comes to things that are moving. Now, if you want to take portraits with it, great. But if you were dealing with fast motion, it struggled a little bit. But these latest mirrorless are you can't go wrong with them. So hopping over to the Z8, I think you're going to be fine because I don't think they changed too much on their menu side of things. So you should still be able to navigate through. The biggest difference is it's not going to feel the same in your hands, the body that is, okay? Because again, like this camera, I know I keep pulling it up. This camera is a big, chunky camera body, and it does not feel good to everyone in their hands. It feels great to me because I have big hands, and it's just the perfect fit, you know? So when you go from a DSLR to a mirrorless, the camera bodies are shrinking down some. So I highly recommend, before you buy, go to a local camera shop, be it Best Buy, a local camera shop that's, you know, a legit camera store, what have you. See if they have the model in there. Pick that camera up, put it in your hands, and pretty much just fondle the damn camera. Spend a good 10, 15 minutes just holding the camera in your hands. If it doesn't feel right, you may want to reconsider it. I don't know. But not all cameras feel the same. Sony, when the Sony mirrorless became very big a handful of years ago, it was awesome to see the A7R Mark II and the A7 S and all of that. They were great cameras, and I went and picked them up. Didn't like them. Couldn't stand them. They felt like toys in my hands. I didn't start liking the feel of a Sony camera until the A7R Mark IV, I believe. Yeah, I think it was the Mark IV, because they did something with the ergonomics of it that felt better for my hands. And that is my recommendation to you. Hybrid Media is in the house. Good to see you. Let's go back down to Demancy says, I do what now? What the heck do you just say? I can't pronounce any of that. Oh my gosh. And William Jess says, have you seen the video by Gavin Free of the Slow Mo Guys channel? And he shows 10,000 frames per second, how a DSLR works. I have not seen that, but I've seen a lot of super slow-mo stuff using those high-end, high frame rate cameras. And it's pretty cool to see it, like watching bullets and things like that. That is pretty daggum cool. Hybrid Media says, all cameras are great now. It's all about preference and workflow. Exactly. Everything has come such a long way. It is. Arun says he was asking about the S9. I haven't played with the S9. I have played with the S5, and I've played with the S5 Mark II. The S5, the original one, when I played with that one, I thought it was an underrated camera, but it didn't quite hit the mark. It was right there. It was right there to hitting the mark. Now the Mark II, thumbs up all day long. Highly underrated camera that nobody talks about. Lumix finally fixed the autofocusing system in there, and the menu systems inside of that, their OS, so much better. It's so clean, and you get to shoot. If you shoot video, you can shoot in Vlog in a flat profile, so you can really push the color grading and stuff. It is so much better. And again, that's the S5 Mark II. I haven't played with the S9. But they've come a long way, man. Definitely come a long way. And it felt good, too. I see somebody with a smart alecky comment in here. I honestly thought Ant's big body, heavy camera takes were crazy talk until I added a battery grip. He's spot on. Oh, I thought this was smart ass, but it's not. Outstanding. And Rune says, I currently own a Canon 80D. Yes, that is a classic. And I love the colors, but lately I'm looking for an upgrade and I want something compact. All right. Well, I do have some thoughts on that, Arun, because I am a Canon person. From an 80D, if you're looking at something comparable, if you want to go if you still want to stay on the APS-C sensor, the R8, or am I getting it backwards? Crap. There's an R8 and there's an R7. One of them's full frame, one is APS-C. Either one of those will be fine because they're the same type of capability from a sensor standpoint, and the body itself is still fairly compact. It's not like the R5. They're slightly smaller than the R5, and they're slightly smaller than the R6 and the R6 Mark II. And they both look nice. And I believe it was the R8 that's an APS-C. I didn't care for that one because for what I've been doing, I just don't want a smaller sensor. It's just not for me. I don't have a problem with people using an APS-C, but APS-C is just not for me and what I tend to shoot day to day. Now this camera right here, which I recently discussed over on ZDNet, this is the Canon R100. And this camera, y'all, that's tiny. And it is a mirrorless. This is the mirrorless body from Canon. And it gives you 24 megapixels, and it's ultra inexpensive. It's like crazy budget friendly. I want to say you can get it for roughly $600 with a better lens if you want. But you get 24 megapixels. You can shoot 4K, but that's with a crop on the 4K, and I don't necessarily recommend that. But the HD is full HD, and it looks good on the whole sensor readout. It's not going to be a super high frame rate for shooting continuous stills, but this camera is not that type of camera. This is a step above a point and shoot camera. You know, this is a good street photography camera. It weighs nothing, and it literally fits in the palm of your hand. I mean, well, at least the palm of my hand. But I enjoyed playing around with it. I got the picture quality on it looks great. Here we go. Here's one shot with the kit lens on here, and I got it cranked up to ISO 3200, and there's a little bit of noise in there, but I'm zoomed in at freaking 100% right here, and the noise is not noticeable. You didn't notice it there. I had to zoom in to see the noise. You know, pretty good. And then this is the same camera body, but I attached one of my prime lenses on it. This was with an 85 prime. And I had an adapter on it because my prime is an EF mount, not an RF mount for mirrorless. Put an adapter on, put the prime lens on, and that still looks great. It's still sharp, still very smooth with the compression in the back. It's just from this tiny little camera, and it's the R100. But yeah, you can check this out. I'm gonna put this link here in the live chat there, so if y'all can go and click on that and read it and check out more on there. But yeah, this is the R1, and again, it's with an APS-C sensor, similar to what you're working with as far as the 80D. And some people, they don't know the difference between the sensor sizes. Let's take a look at that real quick. All right, so here we have, all right, so again, this is that R100. All right, and right there you see the image sensor. Okay, that's what's capturing all of the photos that you snap. Okay, now this is a full frame sensor on my 1DX. I need to turn it on. So let's turn it on, and we'll flip the mirror up. All right, so that's a full frame sensor. You see it's much larger sensor on there. Okay. And that's what a full frame sensor is going to look like on any camera body, not just a mirrorless or DSLR. Any full frame sensor is this size here. So in comparison, if I can do this, see how much bigger that sensor is? So this one has a whole lot more capability of capturing photosites, light, versus this one. And then you have the likes of the smartphone. So imagine a smartphone sensor, nowhere near as big as that. Smartphone sensor is smaller than, it's probably about the size of my pinky. No, it ain't even that big. They're usually a lot smaller than the size of my pinky's fingernail. They're really, really small. So you hear all of the talk about these things having these great photographic capabilities, and they do. And it's all about computational photography when it comes to smartphones. They're just taking that image that they get on that tiny sensor, and then they run it through an algorithm to make it look better or make it look like what they think you should have it to look, kind of thing. And then there's the whole talk of the megapixels and all of that stuff, and I can't stand it. For example, the iPhone 14 Pro, this is an older story, 48 megapixel camera and how it's improved in low light. Yeah, that's all a bunch of bunk. It is. It's all computational photography. Shooting with one of these cameras in a low light setting versus with one of these cameras, even this small APS-C, you're going to get way better low light performance with this one, you know, because what the iPhone is doing is just adding some magic in post-processing before you even look at it after you shoot it, you know. So that's my thoughts on that. Just don't fall for that marketing hype, people, please. And thank you. Thank y'all for being here. Appreciate y'all showing up and hanging out with me live. If this is your first time in here, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button right now on YouTube and like button, whatever it's called, just to sort of help spread the word. And as, and I see your live chat popping in with Hybrid Media. Echoing my thoughts says pixel bending. Pixel bending, BINNING, pixel bending. It's all just a bunch of math science that they try to call it 48 megapixels when it's actually more like 12. It's more like 12 megapixels, but they're selling it as 48. It's bull crap. It's total bull crap. So don't fall for that stuff, y'all. But yeah, thank y'all for being here. Thank you for folks doing the super chats in there and the super thanks. Really do appreciate that. So I've got that stuff off my chest. What other questions do you have? I appreciate y'all going to look at the story on ZDNet. Do you have interest in the likes of the Canon R1 and R5 and R5 Mark II? Personally, I still want an R3 myself. That's like the step below the R1, you know, so it's not their flagship, but it still has a lot of the same capability as far as handling fast motion. I still want one of those. And video wise, both of them shoot 6K video raw, which is great for video shooters. The color science in Canon is still top notch, you know. Them and Sony, they just crush it when far as how the colors look. Now, granted, they're not Leica. It's Leica's colors when you're looking at stills, it's just ridiculous how it's rendered. It's so buttery smooth. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. Any questions, any thoughts, comments? Just hanging out here in my typical creator office hours here on YouTube. I try to do this every Friday when I got some time, which I do have some time right now. Today, I will be sitting at the desk working on a script for a TikTok video that I got to get done for somebody. And that's about it. I think I saw this on my calendar today, so things are a little bit slow. So yeah, when people do those super chats or join the Patreon, it is definitely appreciated because yeah, things are slow. Things are slow. All right. Arun says in the chat here, what's this? Did you say getting a Leica seems unachievable? It's too expensive. Yeah. And again, dude, I've had that talk with folks, and a camera like that, or even a camera like a Hasselblad, well, hell, even a camera like this R1 that we just looked at. Okay. That R1 was $6,000, and that $6,000 is a lot of money. But it depends on, is that $6,000 going to be a worthy investment for you? You know what I'm saying? And for some people, it totally is. You know, some people it totally is. And another thing to consider, yes, I love these camera bodies, but sometimes you don't even have to upgrade. I would look first at upgrading my lenses, because freaking lenses can make a huge difference. Like I said, just even with the R100, this tiny little R100 APS-C, no frills, no thrills camera that just takes just out there just to create good photos and good videos. I got rid of this little cheap little kit lens that comes with it, because this is just their little starter lens. This thing is plasticky. The glass is not all that great. Took that off, put some decent glass on it, and man, it makes a huge difference. So I recommend, if you're able, you know, get a different lens if you have to. You don't necessarily have to upgrade the camera. It depends on what you're trying to shoot. You know, that 80D, it's getting a little long in the tooth. That 80D is getting a little long in the tooth. So yeah, you might want to go ahead and upgrade from that. I get that, you know. But yeah, if at all possible, I highly recommend and suggest looking at different lenses first. I see a super chat has come in from Ozone Nightmare again. Thank you, brother. It says, it feels like a lot of these cameras will be super powered for most folks. For most, just the glass upgrade on a DSLR compared to a phone is enough. Nailed it. For the first few years, I built my business with a Sigma 18 to 35. Oh, I did wedding portraits and video with it. Oh man, was that the 2.8 hybrid media? That's a hell of a portrait lens. Hell of a portrait lens. And you can get some versatility shooting video with it. Nice stuff, man. Nice stuff. Oh, it was 1.8. Yeah, 1.8. Yeah, I remember that. Hell of a lens. So yeah, it just better glass can go a long way, regardless of the cameras that are out there. This old camera body here that I've been shooting with, I like to put my 70 to 200 on it for shooting sports. And it's crazy good. I want to say, hold on, I think I have a library here. Let me pull up my Lightroom just to show y'all 20 megapixels. 20 megapixels in low light, but it's still freaking sharp. Yep, here we go. I could show you this screen here. So let's see. Right there we go. This right here, if I hit G on my keyboard and I go to metadata, this is a 1DX Mark II. This is an 8-year-old camera, or roughly 8 years old camera, 20 megapixels. But man, put a decent lens on here. And this is shot at ISO 5000, because high school basketball gyms are absolute crap when it comes to lighting. Most of them are. ISO 5000 with a, I don't know what lens this was on here. This doesn't look like my 70 to 200. This was my old 400 millimeter lens. And the autofocus system died on it. But yeah, it was a 400 millimeter prime f5.6. But look at this. This thing is great. That's great. It's at 5.6, but look at the background compression. You would think this was a 2.8, you know? And that's on this old 8-year-old camera. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I love this picture. And that dude, he is a hell of a basketball player too. Let's process this a little bit, shall we? So let's see. Boost that up some. Let's play with the curve. Just do it quickly. Good curve. Texture just a touch there. Let's lift the shadows just a little bit. Looking good. Let's give it some vibrance to really help its skin tones. looking good. Yeah. If I want to do a little noise reduction, I can, because I mean, yeah, there's noise right there, but that's not horrible. I'm zoomed in at 100%. That's not horrible noise at ISO 5000. ISO 5000. Seriously? So I'll take a little bit of that noise out. Like that. If you hit color, smooths it out more too. Man, again, just get glass, y'all. If anything, if you can't buy a camera, get some more lenses. Highly recommend. I was on Nightmare in our chat. What's he saying here? I just picked up an Opal C1 because I'm dipping my toe into showing my face on camera, and I need all the help I can get in that. I saw my friend use the C1 and it looked great. Seeing it live and knowing someone who had it, liked it a lot, and liked it a lot, sold it. Those experiences beat random site reviews, current reviewers, except no, I get that. You got to have a trusted source when it comes to these things, you know, because again, you're spending the money. Excuse me, you're spending the money on this. There's a lot of camera reviewers out there that I don't particularly care for. I'm not going to say their names because they either spend a lot of time just ranting about what the camera isn't and not necessarily presenting what it is, or they spend a lot of time just giving it nothing but glowing marks, you know, and you know, they should still let us know, okay, this thing isn't perfect, because there's no perfect camera out there. They all screw up somewhere. They're all coming up short on something, you know. Again, as much as I would like to recommend this camera, which I do, the R100, when people saying, hey, I'm tired of shooting with my phone, I want to get another camera. And when I hear that, I know this is somebody that's not going to spend $1,000 on a camera, but they want something better than their phone. I'll tell them, this one right here, this is going to be good for you to get started. It's not going to be a crazy investment on your out of your pocket. And if you dig it more, you don't have to spend more money on another camera. You can just buy another lens. The problem with it is if you want to shoot 4K, the 4K isn't all that great. Your phone's 4K may look a little bit better because of the computational side in it. 4K video don't look all that great, you know, but the HD video does look fine. You know, just keep it honest with with the people that are wanting to get into the different tech. I don't care if it's cameras, laptops, lights, whatever. You know, there's people that will do reviews on different light kits out there. You got the Aperture, you got the Nan light, you got Amaran, you know, that's Aperture's budget friendly. You got Godox and all of that. And I've seen videos of people shitting on the likes of Godox or even the Neewer, and some of those lights ain't that bad. Some of them are not that bad. And there's a lot of times you can, it depends on what you're doing, you know, because the more expensive lights, they're going to have their chinks in their armor too. You know, pro photo lights are crazy expensive, but they ain't perfect. If you, excuse me, if you have like a pro photo studio strobe light, fire that off, it's going to look great at a fairly decent amount of power and so forth. But if you start to change the power settings, like decrease the power a little bit, the light comes out and hits your subject like it needs to and whatnot. But they have a history of changing the color cast on that comes out of the light. It tends to shift from more of a magenta to a green tint, you know, and that happens, you know, because they're not all perfect, but you got to look at these things, you know, pretty closely and figure out what works best for you. And sometimes it's not always about spending the most money. You know, I have this R5C here. That camera's not cheap, but I'm going to have that camera for a long daggum time. It handles photos very, very well for me. because it's 40 megapixel sensor with 30 frames per second. It handles video very, very well for me. Shoots up to 8K, which I don't shoot 8K, but can you imagine what the 4K looks like on that thing? It's freaking beautiful. So yeah, there's things to consider when it comes to looking at consumer technology. Yes, you have to trust the source when you're looking at the reviews of whether it be someone on YouTube or someone on the internet with a blog or what have you. Or you can also just do your best, if possible, to go to a physical location that has the stuff that you're interested in and put your hands on it and look at it and fondle it and stuff like that. You know, it goes a long way. I guess I'm just old school when it comes to this stuff. You know, I saw, when was it? It was a couple years ago that the Nikon Z9, the Z9, when it came out, that's their flagship camera. This thing, I wasn't sure about it, but I figured, all right, they've been waiting around for quite a few years to get their act together with the mirrorless side of things, and they're probably going to nail it. And when it came out, Nikon had a representative here in town. I said, I don't want to read squat about this daggum camera, because everything I read, everybody was just glowing and glowing and glowing and glowing. And I said, no, it's got to be something wrong somewhere, right? And it's a nice camera. It is a nice camera, you know, but it's not quite for everybody. I love how they changed up the variable screen on the backside. It's not your typical flip out. It's a little different. Takes a little time to get used to that thing. But for me, the feel of that body doesn't work for me. It feels better than the previous ones, but the feel of that body doesn't work for me. They priced it right and stuff like that, you know, so you got to do your research. Chat coming in from Demency. I completed a business headshot shoot with the newer lights and had great results with the little placement tweaking. Photography YouTube will influence you into debt. That's a fact. That is a fact. Newer lights, they've come a long way. They used to have some speed lights that were absolute horrible from a power standpoint. You put your batteries in there, you set them up to 3/4 power, and you still couldn't see, you know, just not good. But they've come a long way. Them and Godots have come a long way from a quality standpoint, and you won't know until you try. Hello, Rashid. Rashid Entertainment, free. Okay, not sure what you're talking about, but hello, thanks for being here. All right. Are there any other questions before I get up out of here? Any questions about cameras? Any questions about sensors, lenses, things of that nature? This is Creator Office Hours. I appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate you hitting like on the screen, thumbs up, and all of that good stuff. Appreciate everybody that's sending in these super chats and super thanks too. Really do appreciate the support. All right. And if we don't have any questions, I'll get out of here and I'll get started with working on some of my projects. I see the little icons for the celebrations in the chat. Thank you. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button on the video side too, the like button too. Thank you very much. I have a camera from Sony to take a look at. They sent me their latest one, the ZV crap. I can't remember the name of it now, but it's the latest mirrorless full frame that was built more for vloggers and stuff. I'm totally blanking on the name of it right now, and I am so sorry, Sony. But I love the previous version of it, and I'm looking forward to playing with this second one too. Chat comes in from Demancy. He says, where does everyone purchase their lenses from? I know where I get mine. Mine usually come from Amazon, but now that I have brick and mortar store right here in town, I try to go there first. to support the local businesses. And you don't have to do that often because lenses last a long time, years. They're that one-time investment kind of thing, and you have them for years. Ozone Nightmare in the chat says, enjoyed this. Great seeing cameras that are massively better than anything I'll ever need or able to afford. Amazing how great this tech is now. Yeah, for real. Rashid, we're just going to boot you out of here because I'm not sure what you got going on here. You're not making any sense. Got a hunch you are a bot. So I'm going to put you in timeout. There we go. We'll put you in timeout for a little bit. There. You never know when it comes to bots and spammers and stuff on these here internets. Man. But yeah, it is great to see where the camera technology has gone and continues to go. I still think that stuff could get cheaper nowadays. For example, let's just think about storage. You know, SD cards used to cost so much money. Excuse me. Sorry for coughing into the mic. SD cards just cost so much money. Hard drives just cost so much money. Things are a lot cheaper now as time has gone by, you know, and I would assume we could see that across the board for all of our tech. You know, televisions don't cost as much anymore. Laptops are still, depending on what you want, laptops don't cost as much. Just depends on what you're putting inside of them. And with cameras, especially, yeah, I mean, that full frame sensor is still a full frame sensor. You know, it didn't get any bigger. You know, the processing power on it may have changed, but didn't processing power become a little less expensive now? I don't know. You know, it just, some things you would think would get a little less expensive over time. Some things. Excuse me. Ozone Nightmare says, I seldom make sense, but you know, I ain't a bot. And yeah, one of the consistently best effects of tech innovation is cost dropping as long as you don't need the bleeding edge. Yeah. I love that. You know, so again, the pricing on the R1 surprised me a little bit considering, you know, what the competition has out there. Sony has the A9 Mark III that has a global shutter. Let me see if I can pull that up. Sony A9 III. There we go. Sony A9 III. Yeah. All right. Show the screen. This thing here, this came out about 6 months ago, I believe, somewhere in that area. And it's not $6,000. I mean, it's right there at $6,000. But it has a different shutter on it. And I remember when this was announced, and people know how I feel about Canon, I was happy that Sony put this out here because I said, you know what? They put this out here with a global shutter and at that price point, that just means it's going to be better for the rest of us in the photography space. Nikon's going to be great. Canon's going to be great if they want to offer a global shutter and have it at a very, very nice price point. Well, Canon didn't do that, you know, and that's too bad. Great camera. Great camera. All right. That's my 2 cents. All right. Well, folks, I'm going to go ahead and get on up out of here. Thank y'all for being here. I really do appreciate everybody popping in each and every week to do our little creator office hours. I enjoy talking to you all and trying my best to answer questions from you. I don't always have the answers. A lot of times I got opinions and sometimes I guess opinions are okay sometimes. But yeah, let's keep doing this as long as my schedule permits on Fridays. I try to do these around 10 a.m. on Friday, Pacific time, roughly. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And also I want to give a shout out to all the folks in the Patreon community for me. Let's go to patreon.com/AntPruitt. These are the folks that are part of the paid tier of Patreon. Thank you all so much. I'm not going to read all of the names, but I figured I would at least show those fine folks there. So thank y'all for doing that. Oh, wait a minute. There's a fun question in here. Fun question in here from someone. I don't know if I can answer it. Last fun question. Top 5 movies. Go. All right. I got to go Beetlejuice. And I'm not going to say these are in order, okay, because it depends on my mood. Beetlejuice comes to mind as my first one. Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. Police Academy 3. Rocky 4. Love those movies. What's another one that I love? Because I don't watch a lot of movies anymore. Damn. Gotta go Black Panther. Black Panther, that original one. And the second one was good too, but that original Black Panther, that one just... Ooh, that one meant... That one meant a lot. And some of you may not get this, but I need to let this be known. Black Panther. Damn. Okay, so when it comes to Black Panther, when it comes to movies in general, for me, I don't go to the movie theater. It's just not my thing. I don't care for the movie theater scene anymore because people are obnoxious with phones and shit in there. They're talking, smacking. Just it's not an enjoyable experience for me anymore. I quit going to movies years ago. My home theater setup is so much better. Okay. And I know the movie purists are going to yell at me about that. Have at it, whatever. My comfort matters the most. And so I hardly go to the movies. The only time I go to the movie theater is to see Star Wars because I hold Star Wars very near to my heart from my childhood. So I will go to the theater to see a Star Wars release. Now, with that said, Black Panther, that was the only other movie I went to see in the theater that wasn't Star Wars. And I did it because of two things. First is the lead actor, Chad Boseman. I knew Chad Boseman. Chad Boseman is from the same town that I'm from. Used to play basketball with Chad. And I'm sorry, Chadwick is what you all may know him as. Chadwick Boseman. But I played basketball with Chad. His sister lived next door to me. And, that was the first reason, to support Chad. And the second reason was to be able to see a black superhero be in the mainstream like that. And I remember going to the theater there in town here in North Kakalaki, or there in North Carolina. I live in California now, but I was in North Carolina at the time. I remember going to the theater and walking in there and seeing the signage up and the posters and all of that stuff. And there was this crazy, crazy buzz in that theater, in the lobbies, in the lines, just a crazy buzz that I hadn't seen in I don't know how long that wasn't sports related. I mean, people were just so pumped up. People were so proud. Black folks were so proud in that little North Carolina town that has quite a bit of racist overtones in it, I must say. But to see black people in there just so proud and happy to have that superhero right there on the screen, and it was worldwide and it was mainstream. You'll hear people talk about, oh, there's a movie for the black community. Movies like Friday. Okay, Friday is a hilarious movie. Love that movie. Hilarious movie, but it's more so, it was at one point, it was more as the black community movie. Not everybody watches it because it's got a lot of great memes in it. That didn't come up with Black Panther. It was a Marvel franchise, worldwide, mainstream for everybody. And front and center, the hero was a black man. And it was, I'm glad. I'm honored that hero was this dude from Anderson, South Carolina, that people just adored. And he left a ridiculous mark on the industry and on the community. And yeah, Black Panther. That's, whew, man. Sorry. Sorry. It just means a lot to me. Yeah, it means a lot. So that was a good question and a good one to end on. Yeah, I knew him, and it really was a great feeling. His story is something else, and him battling that cancer, and man, that was Chad was all right. You know, I'll share a funny memory of Chad. Chad went to a high school called T.L. Hanna, and I went to another high school. I won't say it, but I went to another high school. And so we had to play each other. When we wasn't playing each other in basketball in the neighborhood or whatever, we were playing against each other in the school system. And Chad was a hell of a basketball player. He was damn good, but he taught a lot of shit on the court. He was a big shit talker, outstanding ball player and a big shit talker. And I didn't care who you were. If he scored on you, you heard about it. And the fact that he knew me from the other school, when he got his chance to try to come and dunk on me or anything, he was going to try it, and we would battle it out. And it was just a lot of fun. And so, yeah, we talked shit to each other, and I wasn't a shit talker. I was a businessman when it came to sports. I didn't say nothing to you. I would hit you in the mouth and walk away, kind of thing. But Chad, he was loud, and it was just a lot of fun. And their school, their team was better than our team. They whooped our ass. They whooped our ass, and he let us know, yep, we gonna whoop y'all's ass tonight. And at the end of the night, yep, we did whoop your ass. I mean, he was quite proud, you know. But yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff. All right, everybody. Thank y'all for being here. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you for bringing up those fond memories too. Appreciate y'all being here. And again, if you want to support the show, support the channel, you can always do so by doing the super chats and super thanks in the comments as well. You can also join the Patreon community. I'm working on some stuff in Patreon as usual. The Patreon channel is patreon.com/Aunt Pruitt. Again, that's patreon.com/Aunt Pruitt, and join us over there too if you are interested. Thank you again. Make sure you subscribe here and checking all of the notifications for the next time we get back on air, be it for Everyday People Podcast. Go watch and listen to that right now, or be it for Creator Office Hours. Thank you again. Y'all take care. And also be sure to do something good for yourself and do something good and nice for someone else. And please know it's okay to love you some you. See y'all later.